Hey, what's up, guys? It's T-Bone here. Welcome to the stream. So thanks a lot for waiting. I thought it was going to be a bit late, but I was able to start just on time. So thanks for joining us. And before we get started, what I wanted to do was, give you a little surprise. We actually have a guest joining us today. Why don't you say hi?
Hi, I'm MTM. Nice to be with you guys today.
So we've got MTM in the house. I was able to get him on the stream today, and we're gonna talk about the decks for this particular event, and we're also going to take some questions. There are already some in the chats right now. I just quick pulse check. Is everybody? Can you hear myself and as well as MTM? Okay, is the volume all right? If you find that it's a little too soft or something, just let me know and I'll adjust the volume. I sounded okay when we did a little bit of a test, but I just wanted to confirm. Let me know if you hear if there's anything I need to adjust. Anyways, so let's get started. So first thing is, wanted to make sure that we go through the cards for this event. So after the last stream, I did try to go up to tier 3 to pull Satyr. I ended up getting the event hero from my 5-star collection, but unfortunately, I didn't pull it. So right now, the cards I'm running with are just one event card and one support card. And so there are some options here, but they all kind of revolve around the Satyr card. If you have Satyr or if you have the Master Collection version of it, then you'll be able to do pretty well in this particular event. So here's one of the decks I'm using. So this is a combination of the the thing is it's not something that I recognize not everybody will have because it does have Alfonso the Goblin as well as Skyworm Kachina. So Skyworm Kachina is a commander card, but it will also create Power Gem 4s and it also dispels Weaken. So that is a good card to use if you are in need of a Power Gem spawning hero. And same thing with Alfonso, but there's a little bit of a gotcha with that particular card. It kind of very similar to the event card. You need to, you need to actually get hit before you can actually spawn gems. And so this is one of the decks I'm running with right now. And so MTM, so did you want to say something to the crew? Because I think I'm just kind of talking right now. I just want to make sure they know that you're here.
Oh, yeah. So I've been running something pretty similar. I think a lot of people are doing that this week. Stater is awesome. I'm happy we have the historical heroes back. But I kind of wanted to tell people so they can check it out. We just suddenly got 5 unannounced reforged heroes. They appear to be live. They're in the codex.
Huh,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah.
So what cards are they? Which so I'm obviously it's going to be Earth cards, but which ones could we take a look at?
All right. So we have Wukong Monkey King, Cassiel Fallen Angel, Beauty, Lilith Invisible Protector, and Ilya Tiny Warrior. The only one of those I have at 6-star, Beauty.
Huh.
So she now creates 5 Earth Gems with a charge of 6 and a cooldown of 3.
Okay.
Not super exciting, but not really kind of what she did before she converted, I think, Heart Gems to Earth.
Okay.
But, if you have her anyway, might be usable.
Yeah, I don't have any of those cards. I've dusted them all. But if you have them, you could reforge them. So okay, so that is exciting news. That's kind of a surprise, I guess. That we'll have to go check it out. So, anyways, let's take a look at some of these cards. And really, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show the deck, and we're going to play against some bosses just to kind of talk about the mechanics, and also I'm going to then open up the stream to everybody else, and we can talk about sort of any questions you may have, and also what decks you're using, and also I want to talk about I want to know your thoughts about the changes to this particular event, specifically the way it went from requiring the event hero to the historical heroes to get your runes. And so curious. Yes, we will. I'll ask MTM to post the reforge later in the chat so that everybody gets to see it. And just saying hi to everybody that's in the stream right now. Thanks for joining us. We got NTM here joining us, and we're going to do some. I'm going to talk about the very first deck that I'm showing right now, and kind of show you how it works. So this particular set of battles. The thing is, because I'm using a commander card, I need a couple of turns before I get enough skill points for the Slayer skill points to use Alfonso. And so this will require me to go a couple of turns here, but I believe this boss, I think it's cast weekend, so I should be okay. So I need to wait a couple of turns because you can see I'm only getting 18 skill points here. And so I need to make sure that I get my matches. And so there's a couple of ways you can do it. If you can actually match 6 earth gems, you could actually then go ahead and activate the mushroom sage, because it only requires 6 gems for it to be activated again. And so then you could have this battle skill ready again. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for the turn to go down to 1, so you can see the counter for the boss is 1. Then you activate the Alfonso card as well as the support card. Now when you get hit, 2 things are going to happen. Your support card is going to generate earth gems, and then the mushroom sage is going to then also generate gems on top of that. And so then this is also when all of your relics will then activate, and then you can go ahead and do a power gem swap after you activate Satyr. And so with this particular setup, I can get about 120 to 140 billion damage or so. And so I'm just going to let this time out because I'm not paying attention there, but I just kind of want to show the mechanics there. So if you have this type of deck, you kind of have to manage the timing. Now, I don't actually have the ultra rare card or the master collection card. So, and I obviously don't have the ultimate form. So unfortunately, I won't be able to answer questions there for you. So this is one of the decks here. The other one is if you don't have Satyr, like you didn't pull it from the collection, you didn't get from the packs, then if you have the mummy, that's also another option. And so what I'm running with here is I'm using the mummy, and so because of that, I do need to make sure I bring in more of the corrupt relics. And once I bring in the corrupt relics, then what I'm doing is I'm getting the intensity for the mummy high enough so that I could fill the board with power gems. And I'm using Testera here to do a couple of things. Testera is a card that dispels blind, and it also gives you heal. So this is a card that will passively heal every turn, so that if I'm going up against a big boss and I have it locked, this could help me with the survivability so that I can keep going with the fights. So one of the things with using the mummy is that you need longer term, and you need 7 turns to really sort of get the power gems to be generated. So survivability is going to be important during this time. And I'm going to pause for a second and take a look at if there's any other questions there. So MTM is also in the chat as well as talking here. Don't forget that you can actually say something.
I don't want to interrupt. I'm too used to listening to the T-Bone show.
That's hilarious. All right. Well, MTM is going to be here. He'll be able to answer any questions. I'm definitely going to open up the floor to everybody. He is, somebody that you can always count on to know all the ins and outs of the cards and also sort of the what's going on. So we'll definitely have some fun with that later. So let's take a look at this particular deck then. And so let's see. Let's just take a look. So 31 billion. I could probably go ahead and use this deck against this boss. Might as well take it out. And we'll kind of show you. So this is going to be a lot slower. And in terms of the intensity, I used the different one. So that's okay. So this is a different version of it. So you'll see this one actually doesn't have any Master Collection hero. So this one uses Evelyn, the event hero, as well as the reindeer from the previous Earth Slayer event, and then the support and event card for this particular event as well. So this combination also works, but it does take a little bit longer. So I'm using 3 corrupt relics. So my corrupt intensity is going by 15, and the goal is to get at least 100 intensity so that it will be at least on par with Satyr, because Satyr will actually create 10 Earth Power Gem ones, and so you want to get at least there. But since you have the option to go a little higher and you want to time it correctly, then one of the things that you could do is you could just kind of wait a little bit. So I'm just going to wait a couple of more turns, and also because I don't have Power Gem 4 spawners in this particular deck, right? So I don't want to just settle for using getting 10 power gems. I want to get as many as I could. And also thinking about how much health I have, I can afford to get hit twice. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to just wait for this one more turn. And then what I'll do is, now that it's at counter 1, I'm going to go ahead and activate the support card. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to activate all the power gem spawners first, and then the regular gem spawners. So I'm going to activate Evelyn, followed by the Sage. Then I'm going to activate a Mummy, and then finally I'm going to use the Reindeer for some heal. Now, one of the things that you could do is you could also activate the Reindeer to get yourself some heal along the way. And so you could actually heal. Like what I did there was I didn't bother with the heal, but you could also use that card to heal. So in addition to using Testera, that's another card that you can use as well. So let's see. So is any questions here so far?
A similar version that people can do this week if they pulled Jade Protector. She's like a pseudo mummy kind of thing. Uh, she has a Slayer, so she'll be able to get the leadership coverage and everything. It's an honored version. You do need Master Wu to trigger her, um, which makes it kind of complicated and it takes a lot of your deck space. But it's an option if you don't have a mummy and to make use of those historical heroes they brought back this week.
So what I'm doing right now is I'm actually taking a look at your cards, if you don't mind. And so I've shown a couple of decks. Is there a deck that you're currently using? Is there something that we could talk about?
Let's see. I don't know what I have set up right now. Okay, the first one. It's pretty similar concept with the Alfonso and Satyr. The big thing is since I did get a second Diona just to get that Earth Slayer dust for later, I'm kind of thinking, I don't really like that pack very much. I don't really like this card that much. It's, not great if you have a lot of PG spawners. But if I do luck into a ultimate form in the future, I don't want to have to go through and dust cards that I really do like, or that I am going to be using regularly.
Okay. So the idea is you got additional support cards so that you could use that to actually dust for future.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
She has nice damage this week,
right.
Especially with the Druid staffs. They give you a 15% bonus to Ancient ATK, which
yeah.
is quite a lot for Gen 3 heroes. And then the thing is, because she makes 8 gems with her gem trap, you get enough that Satyr doesn't eat all of them. He only eats most of them.
Right.
And then you put Rudolph on top, and you get a pretty full board. Amazing damage. It was kind of just me trying to figure out a quick way to work with this. It's not going to scale up to like Radiance. It could do a Cobalt, okay. But it's been fine. The big trouble I've had is the defender skills. Because they're the sort of ones where like they don't completely shut you down like Fear does, but you'll half the time your blind will not do anything, and half the time you do a tiny bit of damage, and with the long cooldown on these, it just messes everything up.
Right. So yes, I agree. So one of the things I did encounter as well with blind is sometimes I'll actually get my team up for a big attack, and then every single one of them will miss. And so that is something to really watch out for blind there. And I'm going to take a pause for a second. I think I saw some questions up there, and I'm going to try and answer them as well. So I think there was okay, so you've already answered the question about the Sparkle. And there's a question, is 10 PG1 better than 4 PG4? The way I look at it is a very basic way to think about it is a single PG4 is equivalent to 4 PG1s. Like that's the very, very basic way to think about it. And so in this case, it's not. So 10 Power Gem 1s is actually worse than 4 PG4s. But it's in the context of if you have the same total number of gems that you have in your chain, then that equation works. But if you have just 4 PG4s and you have 10 PG1 plus some regular Earth gems in the chain, it's actually better to have the multiple power gems. The more power gems you have in your chain, the better, obviously. But in this situation, if all things considered are equal, if you have the same number of total Earth gems, having more power gem 4s is obviously going to give you more damage. And also the initial power gem swap is going to make a difference. So hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, it's super complicated to explain it. I think the combo thing people see is very misleading, because when you have PG4, it's going to increase that a lot, since that is the sum of all the power gems. Whereas there's a gem multiplier as well, which isn't displayed.
Right.
And that isn't improved by the higher levels of power gems. Uh,
Yes.
it's just by the quantity. So it really depends on your board and a lot of things. There's that article by Alex. If people want to check it out, and put it in the chat for like the really nitty gritty on how this all works.
Right. So if you're interested, there is definitely that article that I spent a lot of time just kind of trying to understand myself. I'm just gonna go and do some battles while we chat here. But the main thing to think about is it's all about having as many gems connected together as possible, and also maximizing the total number of power gems. Every power gem, ultimately what it does is it adds to a multiplier, and then what it does is as you add to the multiplier, the damage is kind of it increases overall. And in Slayer it's a lot more pronounced because it also gets multiplied by the affinity bonus and also the card bonus itself, whether it's 10 times, 13 times, etc. And so it does get pretty hairy to think about, and then it's very different than Commander, which MTM has done a good job explaining in the past. So all right, so let's go and see how we do against a so this is blind. I'll show you what it's like going up against a blind. I'm gonna go up against a Radiant boss here using this deck, but I'm probably not going to go all out here. And so, a couple of things here. Just, how do you guys feel about this event? Right. So here's a couple of decks I'm using, and I don't know if you already have the ultimate form. Anyone who's watching right now, how do you feel? I'd be interested to find out what your thoughts are about this particular deck, because in my opinion, based on what I've seen so far and just kind of thinking about what I'm seeing, and my experience tells me that I saw some really crazy damage with the particular deck. Just like with all ultimate forms, it's just really ridiculous to think about. But as a whole, are you happy with it? And is this something that you feel like you're going to use? And so one of the things that I've been thinking about is really, if I invest in a deck, am I going to want to use it in the next event? And I'm not sure that this event deck is one that falls in that category per se. Like, it's not something that I love. I do recognize that it is a pretty powerful deck if you have the ultimate form, but I'm just curious, is this something that you feel was worth your investment? So this just kind of interested to get your thoughts on that. And so here it is. All of my cards were blinded, but luckily I was able to actually deal some damage there, so that's good. And now I think I have to wait a few more turns, but you can see that this card, you can use this every turn. So if you're short on earth gems, one of the things that you could do is you could use that skill to then try to match more, so that you can do two things. You can use that to increase your battle skill, as well as use the gems to you can increase the battle skill, and then you can basically do some damage there. And now I have one more attack remaining. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to survive this hit, so I'm just going to let that go. So let's see how much damage I was able to deal after this. So again, this is me playing while I'm kind of watching and talking. I have a revive relic. I forgot about that. So I actually equipped the revive relic, so I shouldn't have given that easily. But again, just kind of wanted to show you sort of the mechanics there again. And that particular fight there, I was able to deal 200 billion with that particular fight, so I should be able to get at least the 15%. So let's see if I get that. No, so I got 5%. I think that was a bigger one, so I didn't get that. I need a little bit more damage. So that's pretty much that. If you don't have Satyr, and if you don't have the Mummy, then it's kind of unfortunately Earth Slayer is just one that there's a few options. You have Sugar Sniper, which is the card from the Earth Corrupt event that creates Power Gen 4s. There's the Mummy, and there is Satyr, and I'm not really sure off the top of my head if there are any other good Earth Power Gem spawners. So these are really the cards that can make it work if you don't have the full team. And so it's kind of just revolves around that. And so I'm just going to go back and take a look again at some of the comments here. I know that, and the thing is, like, I appreciate you guys watching the stream during Slayer events. I know you guys are probably busy with your guild frenzies and whatnot, and Slayer's one of those events you can't really afford to take a lot of time to, to stop. So I really appreciate you joining us, and also for MTM joining us here today. So, Carius, if you don't have past URs, which I don't, it's impossible. This has been a huge struggle. So this is definitely something that I also see and hear a lot. And so one of my goals has been to try to provide, alternatives. But I am finding myself using various forms of ultra rare cards or master collection cards. So that's why if I can find a deck that will be useful in the future that doesn't have such high requirements, I'll definitely be advertising that a lot more. And so Arcadian Assassin. So yeah, so feels like the deck is not going to be as useful outside event. I agree with that. Go ahead, MTM.
Am I breaking up? Sorry, am I breaking up? I'm hearing like stuttering and stuff.
No.
Can people hear me still?
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Well, hopefully this is just on my end. But yeah, really this deck, I feel like if I was brand new to the game, making 8 normal gems would be great. But nowadays, the basis is almost a full board of power gems, and you end up eating your own power gems either by accidentally matching them or making them over the gems you spawned with the support card. And so there's kind of this very large middle area, it seems, where people are struggling this event.
Yes. And I just remember, so thanks to Bent Circuit for the reminder, if you have Haroon the Shrewd, it is another option that I totally forgot. So this was an event card, and this card will actually create 1 Earth Power Gem for every 100 stacks of Mystic Intensity. So this was the event where I got really lucky and I pulled 3 of them. So I could actually use this deck as well if I wanted to, and I could pair that with probably the support or any of the cards for this particular event. I'm not sure if I did that, but so an example of this could be, let's go ahead and build this out. So if you had this card, it actually would work out as well. Health, again, is going to be an issue, but if you had even something like this, and if you focus on putting Mystic Intensity, so I would probably put an Ulfra in there, for example, to help with intensity generation. You could actually you can then use 2 cards to help you with the damage, but it really only works in a longer fight. So I find that 60-second fight is really the best for using Haroon. In the past, like 20 seconds with this particular deck and the high requirement of the intensity, it just makes it a little harder. And so Haroon is another option there. So how's the stream there? So I noticed that earlier there was a little bit of a blip in the stream. So if it cut out for you guys, that's probably what happened. So one of the things is the resolution of what I'm using is not the standard for YouTube, and so they have latency issues sometimes. And so please bear with me. And there was a question from before: is the Furious Goblin Jockey worth it? Will it be good to use in GVG? So I haven't really been using any of the Generation 3 decks for GVG. And so I can't really answer that, but I can tell you that I think that it's worth forging. So if you have the Furious Goblin, if you can forge it, I would go for it. It's a much better ultimate form than this event. So that is the one that I think would be worth going after. And so CJ Monsu or Ofra will be starter deck. Thanks for that information.
This is particularly not a great one for GVG because if you're at the level where you're making ultimate forms, you're probably relative, and you're not going to get the Earth Trap off because once you're that high up, any hit's going to kill you. So that's just a loss. You're going to get 2 from Furious Goblin Jockey and the ATK%, and that's it. And yet the Gen 3s aren't great for GVG anyway, so I probably wouldn't get it for that purpose. I would definitely get it for events, but not for GVG.
Right. So really for GVG, depends on the level too. At the highest levels, you can't really do well unless you have either Either the delay card or the immunity card, which many people don't have, and that's one thing that we've been asking for a long time. But if you're in sort of the mid-level range where most people are leading with, I would guess, flatline, then you need the dispel. And if you're able to dispel it, then it's about getting the turn delay and also having really low cooldown cards that can damage over time. And so we can talk about that definitely. There's some cards such as in the last Earth Commander event where the revival cards where I can actually just use this to show you. So for example, the Earth God deck, it's a really good card to use. So if you use Macrane, for example, to revive if you're not up against a flat line, you can use that to revive, and then you can use turn delay and gem spawns to then just keep your gems going, and then you can just eventually build up a high enough intensity to then take down the bosses. And so that is something that I've talked about in the past. We can definitely revisit that as well. And now there was a question earlier that asked a question. There was a question before about, is it worth it to create a ultimate relic if you have two of them? With the buff that they've introduced now, so let's take a look at the ultimate relic here. So this is the one thing that they also did differently this event. They've introduced the ultimate relic, and a couple of things, right? So one, you can start the battle with 50 Earth Slayer skill points as long as Immortal Killer's active, and also it increases the attack of this relic, and it upgrades the power gem to power gem 4 if there's an Immortal Killer being active. So that means if you have the Master Collection card or the Ultra Rare or the Ultimate Form cards, then this relic is going to double damage, create additional power gems, and I think if you have the Ultimate Form hero, you will create an additional Ultimate Gem, I think at 3 stars. So there's like additional bonuses for all of these things, but the thing is, you are going to lose out on the initial gem creation. That's the thing that I find that affects some people. But I don't know. Like, I don't have the luxury of having multiple relics, so I don't really know how I feel about it. So what about you, MTN? What is your thought on creating a ultimate relic?
I think they're kind of in the opposite situation of the Ultimate Form heroes, which currently are kind of hard to make the previous ones, since you do have to go to tier 2, which is going to require 12 runes, and it's just a random chance between the different options. However, the relics, you just need more copies of the relic, and you can get that from the relic pack now, from the event pack. The 3.5% chance of an additional event relic is now drawing from the entire pool of all event affinity combo relics. So you can either get this or the North Star Chakram this week. And so over a long enough period of time, you will probably end up with more relics than you can possibly fit on your team. And that's when you're going to want to start making those ultimate forms and higher level ultimate forms. Until then, it gets a little sketchy because, like, well, what if you don't, this boss isn't the one that's activated with this ultimate relic? You're going to kind of mess up your flow, especially in Slayer. And so it just gets, and the intensity and the power gems and everything else, it gets really complicated. I would probably lean on the side of keeping them for now, even though they're very powerful. Unless you really need that power, like you're trying to get very high on the ultimate leaderboard, I would probably just keep two separate ones.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. So my mind hasn't really changed. So like up until now, like ever since they introduced the ability to forge ultimate relics, from my perspective, as someone who barely gets, like who, if I'm lucky, I can get 2, but only if I get 2 on by tier 2. My thoughts are, I enjoy having 2 relics. Maybe in a few more cycles, I'll start doing that. But right now, I'm happy having my relics filling up my spot, and I can benefit from it. So I just don't see the urgency just yet. So as MTN said, like if it gives you that additional edge, then go for it. But personally, from a enjoyment perspective, I like keeping my relics here. Now, what I want to do is I want to switch gears a little bit because
probably something important for people to know. Under no circumstances remove the enchantment on your North Star Chakram.
yeah,
If you have an enchanted one, it has revive, you will. That is super good. do not do that, or you will be very sad.
Right. So what I'll do is I'm going to show this before I move on to the next topic I wanted to discuss, but definitely wanted to touch on that as well. So if you notice, if you go to the Earth Slayer relic, you can actually go to the enchanted chakram, and you can actually basically unenchant it. And because the idea is if you wanted to create the ultimate form using that, you need to enchant it first. I would highly, highly, highly recommend you not do that. It is so much more worth it for you to get the revive than the additional power that you get from the ultimate form relic. So basically, this is not the right event to do this, and not the right relic to actually go do that.
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch gears a little bit, and I would like to open the floor, and I would like to ask you guys this question. How do you feel about the change so far to the actual collections? So, oh, by the way, look at that. I got 3 in a row for my rune, so I'm not getting the Master Collection card, but it's okay. I'm not as sad about it, but it is pretty funny to think about. So we switched from having 3 runes that you can get with Event Hero to 3 runes, one separate, each of them being separate with 3 historical heroes. So I'm just kind of curious, let me know what your thoughts are. Is this something that you think is a good change, or do you feel like you liked it better when it was dependent on a event hero? I will give you my take on it. Personally, I think that I like the idea of being able to get 3 runes, but I kind of at once, but I kind of hope that it wasn't dependent on a event hero. If it was dependent on the support hero, you get 3 runes there, I would be all for it. But I know that's probably never going to happen. So I know that there's pros and cons. I kind of like being a long-term player. I kind of like the idea of using my historical heroes to get the runes. But I can also see the appeal of if you get the event hero, you'll get all 3 runes. Given the lack of runes, that's a good thing. So what do you think? Okay.
Me think?
Yeah. So while the viewers are weighing in on their thoughts, what are your thoughts? I know that you definitely have your thoughts about this.
Oh yes, I'm a huge fan of the historical heroes for a lot of reasons. Uh, Unfortunately, the one that they emphasized in the Inside Scoop and stuff is was it being easier to get the runes, where like you said, it's more of a different way to get the runes. If you're a long-term player, it's way better. If you're sort of a big collector, it's better. Um, if you're a moderate spender who can afford to go up to tier 4 every week if they have to, then it's going to be harder to get those runes. And so that's the part that I think is a mixed bag. The part that is a huge plus is that the random heroes you get now from the 5-star collection and from the tier 3 of the master pack are going to be way better. Previously, it was the pool of all of the Earthslayer heroes or whatever event affinity combo, and that included a lot of Gen 1s, a lot of really disappointing heroes. For most weeks, it would be about 2/3 heroes that already existed. Whereas now we have stuff like Satyr, who is amazing, and you have a 25% chance of that. Jade Protector is a little harder to use, but I use her a lot in the Spire. And even Rowan, he's sort of the weakest draw this week, but he has uncapped Demigod attack bonus, 80% bonus, and so he can be really strong in the right circumstance, like the trials. And so that's really the big thing for me, is being able to get a chance at some of these heroes, and none of them are in Dust now from now on. So people can stop messaging me every week for that. And so yeah, that's really what was a huge positive for me. Not so much I personally get more runes out of it. I probably will, but that isn't why I support this. If I'd left that as the event hero, I'd live with it. I really just wanted to be able to chance to get like Satyr this week.
Yeah, I unfortunately I couldn't pull Satyr. I really wanted one, but my I'm definitely reading the messages as well, and I can totally sympathize with both camps. On the one hand, having the historical heroes is good, but if you don't have those cards or you have those but you can't level it, then it's going to be difficult. And on the other hand, if you get lucky and you get an event card, then that's 3 runes right there. But I think the message I'm seeing though is, in general, we just don't have enough runes. 6 is not enough, and we need to have more. And so that's one of the things that we need to keep providing feedback on and let the dev team know how this, this experience. And so one of the things I'm doing also with these streams, like I'm collecting this information and I'm using this to help the dev team understand too. I'm trying to provide them info on like, hey, here's, also the general consensus. In addition to what you're seeing in the network chat and also in the forums, I'm hoping to use this as a way to give people an outlet for us, for them to help understand what's going on here. So I think, there are definitely two people that enjoy it, some people that don't like it, and it's fine. I think it's just more important that we get the feedback there, and so that they can make this a better experience either way. And I think I saw a question. I just want to make sure that I address it as well. So thank you very much, Arcadian Assassin, for the compliments there. And let's see. So so we definitely have some people like the historical style, some people that like the new style. So again, like I said, it's just one of those things where I recognize that different people will have different opinions. So welcome to some of the new people to the stream. Hansi, welcome. And let's see. So you can see Mummy working for a guild Cobalt boss, but how for a solo Cobalt or Radiant? So using the Mummy is probably going to be a little bit more difficult for Radiant because you're not going to get as much damage and it's going to take longer. So that definitely is the case. So one of the things with using Mummy is you just have to be, I guess, for me, I had a lot of practice using that deck. And so I can, on average, do about 4 total attacks using the Mummy. And so that is basically at least 28 turns. And sometimes I can do, like the best I can do is 5 in a 20-second fight. But it's difficult. So yes, I definitely recognize that it's not something that you would be able to do to attack Radiant. So it just understanding the strength and the weaknesses of your deck to decide what to go for. And so my thing is, there are times when I don't have a good enough deck to go after a Radiant boss, and so I just tag. Like it's just not worth the time and effort. If all you can get is 5%, it doesn't give you keys, and it's just a lot of wasted effort. You get a little bit more trophies, but for the time that you would need to spend to get the 5%, you might be better off tagging another boss. So that would be my recommendation there, depending on what you have. And I think it just gives you a little bit less stress as well.
Yeah, personally, I'm mostly free to play. I think after all my time in the game, I'm still at the edge of VIP 3. I've avoided buying anything else because I want to keep my free to play cred. But so I've had a lot of events where I can't really put something together that can do the higher tier Slayer bosses. And so I just sort of act as like a Radiant repeating station where I kill my weaker bosses in the hopes of spawning a Radiant. And then I can send it to guild mates who do have more powerful decks, and they appreciate that. It's a way to help your guild that's not just doing the guild bosses, and it's a way to, if you cultivate a really strong friends list and are sort of known as a person that rallies high quality bosses, then you can do quite well even if you can't necessarily do a lot of damage.
Right.
During Slayer.
I've definitely had some events where just by tagging I was able to sort of sort of pull my way through. But here's what I'm going to share with everybody, and we're coming up on about 40 minutes to stream, and one of the things I want to make sure is it's not going to go too long, so we're probably going to end it in a little bit. But some of the closing thoughts I have here, one is if you take a look at my placement right now, I barely played since the event started, mostly because I was busy, and also I just kind of wanted to, I don't have a very good deck, and I didn't feel like spending all the energy to compete. I'm in Legends right now, and there's a high likelihood I'm going to drop down to Emperors, but I'm okay with that. And one of the things I want to say is there's a video that Spicer, a Christian Spicer, actually did, and I think I resonate a lot with it. I play this game for fun, and when the competition gets to the point where I'm not really enjoying myself anymore, I just need to take a step back. And what I wanted to do instead, I focused my time on just kind of trying to figure out the decks that we can actually be successful for this particular stream. But I'm not really worried about it. So like dropping down the Emperors is not a very big deal to me. I will miss some of the gems, but I rather just have fun with it. And so I will be honest. This particular event, this particular deck, not having the right cards for it makes it feel less fun, right? And so I definitely want to just kind of say, like, I share this feeling with you guys. But I think that overall, I do see that they're trying to make the game better for everyone. I know that it's going to take some time, and so it's let's just collect more feedback and let them know how we feel about it, so that we can, so we can make this a better experience for everyone. And so just kind of looking back at the chats again, so I see a couple more new people. Kali Yuga, welcome to the stream. I think this is the first time seeing you here. Be Like Billy, welcome. And so, there's also Sandra. Let's see, you're using Seder, Abarca, Alfonso, Diana, Rudolph. Yeah, so that's the similar team that I'm using there. And so, I think this is where I'm at. I'm just this particular event, I'm not so worried about the boss itself. So I'm probably going to spend a lot more time on the guild boss. And so I'm going to close out with a tip. This is a tip that most guilds will talk about, and I wanted to explain this as well. So MTM, you can help me if I get any if I do this incorrectly, just help me out here. But notice how we have a Cobalt boss for a guild boss right now. One of the things I want to help you guys understand is how this actually works. So you get 4 guild bosses total, and and you can call them lanes. So this particular lane that has a Cobalt boss, this is the only one that will spawn a Cobalt boss. So that means when one actually spawns, focus on 2 things. One, use this time to kill all the other guild bosses so you can collect keys. And once you are ready and you get the tags in, as soon as you defeat the Cobalt boss, the very next one that spawns is the same lane that's going to spawn the next Cobalt. So it might actually spawn again, or it may not. But if you just continue to focus on that same boss a couple of times, you'll get the Cobalt show up. And this is when the Radiant boss is going to show up, etc. And you're going to be able to continue to hit that lane. And that's how you can get higher guild trophies. So focus on so instead of just killing all the bosses all at the same time, have a coordinated focus on the lane that will spawn the Cobalt boss. And then as soon as it's defeated, attack the very next one, identify that as the same lane where Cobalt boss will be, and then keep going and then repeat that process. You're going to see a lot more Cobalt and Radiant bosses in your guild boss, and you're going to be able to do more damage or get more trophies overall. So that's my tip. Did I get that correct, NPM? Any corrections there?
No, that's accurate. Unfortunately, a while back during the whole elite boss thing, they did this huge update to the bosses that I don't think people really noticed. That made it so that the lower tier bosses give you more trophies per hit point than the higher tier ones. So in a very theoretical way, the Emerald and even the Onyx could be better than the Cobalt. But with how much damage is increased, even for more moderate players in the new meta and 3.0, I think people are going to be able to do that Cobalt lane, and that's going to give you just so many more points because it is so much larger.
Yes.
You're trying to grind through to get the Emerald over and over is just not worth it.
Right.
Usually. But if your guild can't do the Cobalts, that's fine. The fact that it's linked to one lane means you can also just avoid that lane, and you won't keep running into it.
Right. So Miss V3, so when I say lane, so if you look at this right now, imagine these are sort of like highway lanes, right? So you got 4 lanes of bosses here. They actually have its own play. So whenever one boss gets defeated, the next one that appears actually will be essentially replacing the boss in that lane. And so if you look at this top 4, when you defeat this boss at the top, the very next one that appears on the bottom is going to be the one that essentially matches this lane here. And so that's how you can tell what you can focus on. And so, as MTN said, it depends on your guild strength. Some guilds might want to avoid that. And so what you can do is you can leave that boss up there and you can just attack all the others so that you know that you're going to be able to take down the bosses. And so I know some guilds are using this trick. I don't think it's a widely known knowledge, and that's why I wanted to share it with everyone. And Callie, you got thanks a lot about your thanks for the compliments about my voice there. I do need to remember to drink water. I always bring a glass of water with me. I put it in front of me, and then I forget to drink it for 40 minutes straight. So I'm gonna have to drink some water afterwards. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say the boss lane thing. It is super hard to try to explain to people without a visual aid. So I think a lot of people that even have been told about it don't necessarily get it. Especially like here, let's say if we named these 1 through 4, when you kill that top boss, it's then going to be still 2, 3, 4, 1.
Yeah.
So they can kind of shuffle around, and it gets very complicated. Hopefully they'll add a little asterisk or sparkle or frame around the good lane.
It's like, this is the good lane. This is the lane that you want to attack. This is how every other guild got a ton of trophies when, and you don't know why. I didn't understand it for a while either, and this is the reason why. So if you can take advantage of that, then your guild as a whole will do better. So I think I'm going to probably wrap up the stream at this point. So again, thank you so much everybody for joining me. I know that the format has been changing a little bit, and I'm sort of moving away from doing the edited videos. I know that some people probably still like that, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity to chat with you guys and to have this opportunity to kind of talk about things other than just the cards here. So let me know if there's any feedback, anything that you would like to see differently. I think that there are probably some sort of videos I think that's going to be better as non-streams. I'm still thinking about that. But for now, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. Pacific time is what I'm thinking about as the standard streaming time. And then I will look for opportunities to also have other videos as well. So again, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Your support has been really appreciated. And again, give feedback to through the forums. Let's show them, let's talk about, hey, as free to play players, as low spender, medium spenders, this is what will really help us out. I know it feels like people don't really care, but I can tell you that from my conversations with them, they do read it. It's just, we just need to help them understand, the context, and we just need to keep at it, basically. So anyways, that's my closing thought for the day, and I will see you in the next stream next Tuesday. Thanks a lot, and good luck, and have fun in the events. Take care. Thanks a lot, MTM. I'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Talk to you guys later. Bye.